Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrjakacharya Shruta Sadashresi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Kodanatai Mayapur Shashi ki jai. Shri Tulsinasa ki jai. Shri Giridhari Lal ki jai. Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Harinama Sankirtan ki jai. Go Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Grand, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane, Namaste Saraswate Devi, Gauravani Pracharine, Nevasesha Sunyavadi, Paschatya Desha Tarine. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadayam Dadati Swapadantikam Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. I can't see it. Oh, here it comes. Sorry, I'm just lazy. We're reading from the 7th canto, and we're on Chapter 1. The Supreme Lord is equal to everyone. This is a very deep subject, and in this chapter, we will get some very clear understanding, or next chapter, or in these chapters. This chapter already, actually, you've had a clarification of what that means. Krishna is equal to everyone. No matter who we are, what we are, how demoniac we are, how illusioned we are, etc. He's equal to everyone. That topic you've already covered. I think discussion of Shishupal was there. Is that right? And what it means. So we will not necessarily touch on that today, but we will continue where we left off yesterday. And I think we left off on a nice dial tone. Nice as it may be, maybe you can put it on sleep mode or something like that. So I think we're on text 40 today. We did 39 yesterday. Text number 40. We have it on the screen. Text 40. Kindly repeat. Jagyate. Oh. Jagyate. Tau. Ditehe. Putrau. Jagyate tau dite putrau. Daichadanava vanditau. Hiranyakashipo jeshto. Hiranyaksha nujastataha. Jagyate tadite putrao. Daichadanava vanditao. Hiranyakashipo jeshto. Hiranyaksha nujastataha. Jagyate tadite putrao. Daichadanava vandito. Hiranyakashipo jeshto. Hiranyaksha nujastataha. Ete pitro. Jagyate todate putro. Daichadanava vandito. Hiranyakashipo jeshto. Hiranyaksho nujastataha. Ladies. Jagyate todite putro. Daichadanava vandito. Kashipo jeshto. Hiranyaksho nujastataha. Jagyate taudite putro. Daichadanava vandito. Hiranyakashipo jeshto. Hiranyaksho nujastataha. Jagyate were born. Tau, the two. Ditehe of Diti. Putrau, the sons. Daicha Danava, by all the demons. Vanditau, being worshipped. Hiranyakashipuhu, Hiranyakashipu. Jeshtaha, the elder. Hiranyaksha, Hiranyaksha. Anujaha, the younger. Tataha, thereafter. Translation, no purport, for a few verses, in fact. These two associates of the Lord, Jai and Vijay, later descended to the material world, taking birth as the two sons of Diti, Hiranyakashipu being the elder and Hiranyaksha the younger. They were very much respected by the Daityas and Danavas, the demoniac species. This is just a brief summary, you could say, of this pastime, which we'll hear in more detail in following chapters. Just a little note there that Hiranyakashipu was the elder. They were twins. Now, when twins are born, one comes out before the other, usually. Is that right? Hard for them to both come out at the same time. So one comes out first, and In one sense, you could say they're elder by maybe a few minutes, moments. I don't know how long it takes between them, whatever it is. So a little bit older. But that's not how it's understood from the Vedic perception, because the one who comes out first is the one who was actually impregnated second. They're the other ones behind them in the womb. The first one who is impregnated into the womb is in the back, and the second one is impregnated in the front. So the ones in the front comes out first. But in Vedic culture, it's not when you're born. Life is eternal. It's there before you're even conceived. So at conception, it's understood that life enters into the body. And that's, they take as the beginning, at least in this life, this sojourn of your life in this particular body or whatever we're in. So in that way, Hiranyakashipu was impregnated first into the womb through the sperm. Second one, maybe what a timing there, I had no idea. But the Hiranyaksha was the second to enter into the womb. Jai and Vijay. So coming out first was Hiranyaksha, but he was considered, even amongst the demons, they would follow this Vedic. They had understanding, which people today don't have. They were often very, very, very expert in the Vedas. Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. There's a chapter, I don't know, here, there, somewhere. After the death of Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu is speaking to his family members, more or less without devotion to Krishna. He's more or less speaking the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. He knows the truth about the soul, the material reincarnation, karma. He knows all these things very well. They're just common sense. They're still common sense to an ordinary street sweeper in India. Vast majority of people in India, who are at least those who haven't become covered over by other philosophies, is a common sense thing for them to understand the soul. It's not something difficult to understand. It's not something, mythology or something like that. It's just the sun's rising and the sun's risen. Simple as that. You don't have to speculate about it. To them, it's very clear. And we're all clouded over, so we don't believe the sun rises. We don't believe the sun exists if you've never seen it. Unless someone tells you, and you can believe them or not. That's up to you. But they accept, and they also have a deep understanding and realization. But in days of yore, once upon a time, as we heard the other day, long time ago, even the demons understood this. It's just like ABC, It's not very. We have a hard time with the ABCs, what to speak of everything else. Because of our conditioning. We're so covered over with indoctrination of modern religions and modern philosophies, which have covered spiritual knowledge, basically. But they didn't have that. Even the Daityas and Danavas knew that. The only difference is the Daityas, the demons, they just don't like Krishna. They don't know everything. They may even know he's God, but they hate him. They want to get rid of him. Kill him. Get him out of the way. He's interfering with our agenda. So we'll move on to the next verse. Appearing, literally is a quick summary by the looks of it. Appearing as Nrsingadeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Hari killed Hiranyakashipu. He also killed Hiranyaksha, as you're probably quite familiar with. The pastime of the twin brother of Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, was killed also by Lord Vishnu in one of his forms as Varahadev, the boar. It was not at all boring, but it was a boar incarnation. And how the Lord appeared, mystifying, isn't it? Either of these forms, Nrsingadev means, what does Nrsingadev mean? Man, lion form. Singha means, Nara is human, and Singha is lion. Deva is God. So the man, lion, God, Again, another reason, and Prabhupada even said this, why does Krishna appear in this unusual forms? Prabhupada said, to convince the atheist that God does not exist. They really get off on these things, God, this is nonsense. You believe God can appear like a pig? You're mad. This is proof there's no God. Half man, half lion. Are you joking? Are you joking? God, dear, this is definitely, barbaric mythology, to say the best, and that's giving credit to the idea. They just turn their nose up at it. Nonsense. So Prabhupada said he appears in these forms for that reason. He's equal to everyone. They want to disbelieve in God, so okay. Give you another opportunity to be more convinced in your atheism. But there are other reasons he appears in those forms, to reciprocate with his devotees also, or to appropriate forms. Nothing can exist unless it have its origin in God. So he also appears in all species of life, and that, you could say, is the origin of those species. Because we don't see many Narashingadevs around, half man, half lion. The whole thing, Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes in one book called Krishna Samhita, the evolution, and almost gives some credit to Darwin theory. But the problem with Darwin theory is it's devoid of the spirit, it's devoid of godliness, it's devoid of the spiritual presence. You got some things right and a lot of things wrong. But anyway, the Lord appears in these various forms, almost like in an evolutionary way, When you look at the Das avatars, you see, what's the first one? In the Das avatars? Is it a fish? Matsya? Yeah, fish. And, Darwin, fish. Out of the fish, then it comes on the land. Who's the next avatar? Kurma. So the fish, like a tortoise, half land, half water, comes out. And who's the next one? Varaha. Varaha. So they become like an animal. It's kind of like evolution there. He kind of connects it to try to give some, connection with this modern, atheistic philosophy of evolution or something. But there is some connection there. It's just probably Darwin heard about all these things and tried to speculate and make up a philosophy devoid of, godliness, devoid of Vedic reference, etc. So, according to Lord, appearing as Nrsingadev, the Supreme Personality of God is Sri Hari killed Hiranyakashipu. And then there's the other one. When the Lord delivered the planet Earth, which had fallen in the Garbhodak ocean, Hiranyaksha tried to hinder him. And then the Lord, as Varaha, killed Hiranyaksha. So he killed them both in different forms. And, the Earth, of course, again, it's beyond, you could say, modern scientific understanding, but the lower part of the universe is filled up with sweat of Garbhodak of Vishnu, lower part of the universe. The Earth has fallen into that, is considered to be a dirty place in many ways. The Lord's sweat is not dirty, but for the sense of connection with the material world, it can be considered like that. And the Earth fell into the lower regions like that, the waters of the Garbhodak ocean. And, you don't see in Scotland very often. You don't see hogs on the street, do you, in Scotland very often? We see them in France, believe it or not. Wild boar are quite common in France. French contingency are not here now to back us up this morning. But yes, even in Paris, I've seen in the suburbs wild hogs just suddenly appearing out of the bushes. And they're boars. They've got tusks, They come out of the bushes with their clan, about 50 of them all at once come out sometimes. Maybe not so many now, but I've seen at least 20 in one group come out of the bushes in Paris. And they go and moosh around. I don't know where they are. Maybe there's a road, and then they run back in when the car comes along. But they're still there. In France, in the forest, they're wild boar. They hunt them, but still there's some around. And they have tusks. In India, they don't see them so much with tusks, but there's lots of pigs there. Also, same species, pigs. And in Vrindavan, most of you know what Vrindavan is. Many of you have been there. And if you go to Vrindavan, you see not so many now, I must say. Other animals have become more prominent, like dogs. But there used to be more pigs. And what do pigs do? What do they do? Well, that's one thing. How does it work? How do they do that? They go to the toilet? Pardon? Huh? Well, they're part of the sanitation department, very much so. At least they were. They're not so prominent now. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's not so much stool there anymore. I don't know. Maybe it's taken away in pipes or something. But then, oftentimes, a stool would go straight. Stool? You want to know what stool is? We heard about it yesterday. I was a little delayed because I had to pass stool, and so couldn't get up here. So anyway, the drains in Vrindavan, maybe I don't know if they're any better or worse, but stool sometimes ends up in the drain for various reasons. One of the reasons is many people pass stool in the drains. It doesn't just come out of pipes. I personally saw one little boy one time, maybe, I don't know how old, you can never tell with Indian kids, they're very small. He may have been 8, 10, 12, I don't know. Little boy sat there passing stool in the drain. Not a big deal in India. People in the West think, oh, this is disgusting. But they don't take it as a big issue. They're passing stool in the drain. There's one hog there, like rearing up, eager, seeing that there's, it's like pizzas. How many of you like pizzas? Anyone like a pizza? You like hot one or cold one? You like it out the fridge or you like it out the oven? Which you prefer? Huh? Which you prefer? Huh? Which you like? Out the oven, okay. So, you can't blame the pig, It's pretty hot when it comes out the hole at the back there. Fresh out the oven, huh? Boom! Literally, as soon as it's come, he's right on the kids, right at the oven. He's taking it straight out the oven. Poor kid knocked over and blah! Straight out the oven, Eager, enthusiastic for prasadam. I don't think it was even offered before he ate it. There's a different dynamic of culture, I suppose you'd say, but hogs, they go into dirty places, and they go in the drains, usually the drains. You see them down the drains, they're just groveling around in the drains, covered in, filthy garbage and dirty, stooly water. And then when they come out, if you happen to be nearby, you're very blessed. They come out, they've got these spiky hairs. They're not like these, skinny, not skinny. These pigs in the West have got all skin. You don't see much hair on them. But in India, they got a lot of hair. It shows up when they go, especially when they go in the drains, it kind of starts sticking out. And then they come out and they shake themselves off. And it's like a spray comes off of them in every direction. And if you're nearby, you get coated in all this Abhishek water from the drain. And anyway, they go into dirty places. So the Lord took this form as a boar to go into the dirty Garbadak Ocean. I mean, it's described like that anyway. The dirty region of the universe where the earth had fallen down. Now, why had the earth fallen down? The earth, we don't think this is ridiculous. I mean, the earth falling down. They do talk about it going out of orbit, though, don't they? Sometimes, because of the whatever things are going on. I don't know. They do sometimes talk about it scientifically. There's a risk it could go out of orbit or something, or maybe it is. I don't know. But why would this? In this occasion, it seems to have completely fallen out of orbit. It's just not in the solar system anymore. It's gone, disappeared under the water. Why? Why? In the fifth canto, you can read about the second or fifth. I can't remember. One of the cantos. Yes. Yeah, at that time, well, Hiranyaksha, gold. Hiranya is gold. They were really after wealth, economic. Demons are usually very keen on economic development and sex life. It's the influence, they're very strong. I mean, these things have to be there. But they're very strong. They want to exploit, control everything, extract and control everybody. The demoniac mentality. So Hiranyaksha, on behalf of his elder brother, Hiranyakashipu, was regularly extracting gold. At that time, there's probably not any left after that, hardly, very little, from the Earth planet. We see Ravana and his brother were doing the same thing. Gold is amazing how addictive gold can be. It's got a potency of its own. It's not just an ordinary lump of golden metal. It does have a certain potency which affects the consciousness of living entities, human beings at least. I don't think other species are so inclined or attracted or influenced by gold. But in human life, that greed, that desire, that lust, that desire to control, madness is very strong. And and because of extracting, we don't realize. Now, take our body. Everyone has in their body various substances. You have your lymphatic system, you have your blood system, and muscular system, and nervous system, and I don't know how many systems are there in the body. So many, huh? Now, or we can use yesterday's example of chemicals. You extract even a tiny one. How much arsenic is there in the body? You know you've got arsenic in your body? Very tiny, like 1/1,000,000th of a percent or something, but it has its important role to play. Don't ask me what. Every one of these trace elements has an important role to play in the balance of the body. You take one of these out, or somehow or other we behave in such and such a way that one of them is reduced or stifled or whatever it is, it affects the working of the body. And then you get sick. The balance in the body is so fine. It's incredibly fine. It's almost inconceivably fine. So when you take out one of these trace elements even, then the body doesn't work properly. It may even stop altogether. You may collapse. So they don't realize that the earth is also a body. It's not just a lump of, God knows what. They don't even know what it is exactly. They say magna or something. They don't really know. No one's ever been down to check it out as far as I know. Has anyone been to the center of the earth? Anyone remember going to the center of the earth? Bhavan, you've been there? You must have done. You have a very deep cave. Didn't that go down to the center of the earth? Huh? It's pretty dark. We can't imagine what it's down there. I mean, is it just a lump of rock? It's amazing, isn't it? Our own planet. We're talking about this planet. We don't even know about our own planet, really, do we? How much of this planet do we have some knowledge of? The surface. How far down do we have some knowledge? A few miles? What they say. Confirmed knowledge, let's say. Not much. I mean, that's probably not even 1% of the Earth's total mass. We have very little knowledge. Whatever it is, they even say there's, it's difficult, it's risk that, the oceans would dry up or something, or flood. I don't know what they say, this thing, that thing, when all this stuff going on could disturb, they say it disturbs the climate already, or there's oil being extracted and what have you, burning it up. Whatever, the different philosophies, theories are there. But in this case, it's understood from Vedas that the earth is a body. And if you take certain elements out of the body, then it can become unbalanced. Just like a human body becomes. Are you leaving for Sankirtan early or what? Inverness? Huh? Lancaster? Oh, you're leaving us. They're leaving. You haven't convinced them? Oh, no, I thought they were staying in Scotland from now on. Huh? They'll come back. You can't. Definitely, if you come to Scotland, you have to come back. Hopefully not birth after birth. Well, we'll miss you. Are you leaving now? I take Prashadam and go. Well, we may see you before you go, otherwise have a great journey back down into the uncivilized world. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your association. So they they may have some speculation, but they don't realize they're extracting. So the Prabhupada writes, he says, if they continue to extract oil like they're doing now, which is one of the necessary, like we lubricate with oil. Huh? It has an important part in fueling cars and machinery and what have you, and it's also a lubricant. So it's a very important element of the Earth's body, and they're just taking it out by the billions of gallons every day or whatever it is. I don't know how many. And this can unbalance the Earth's orbit. Take it out of orbit; it may collapse. It's a big risk. A big risk. So that happened during this era, millions of years ago. Hiranyaksha had extracted so much gold that the earth fell down. There are different eras, different millenniums, different times in history when this pastime has a slightly different background to it. And in this case, the earth had fallen down into the bottom of the universe, and the Lord came, and of course the earth was very sad to be in that situation. We don't see, yesterday we heard of months being personal. So what to speak of earth or planets being personal, that is kind of indicated even in European history, the Greek philosophies and so on and so forth. Egyptians, I believe, ancient cultures in Europe did see the planets with a personified feature. They had names, and even now they have different names, and there's a god of the various planets. And it's true, there is a god of the various planets, they just can't see it. So the Lord took a form suitable to go into dirty places as a boar with tusks. He picked the earth up on his tusks, as they may do, and put it back in orbit. And much to the displeasure of Hiranyaksha, a big battle was ensued, and the Lord Boar killed this mighty demon. Powerful battle they had. That's another story. On to the next verse, desiring to so this is a summary. This is now with Hiranyakashipu. Of course, Hiranyaksha has already been killed, and that infuriated Hiranyakashipu. Absolutely. His enemy has killed him. I will kill my enemy. I will kill the killer of my brother. You may also feel like that sometimes. When, there's nothing unusual. Someone disturbs or causes harm to someone close to you. You may get very angry with that person. You want to kill them sometimes. Especially if they actually kill someone close to you. But even if they don't, you may get very angry and feel like killing them. It's conditioned life. It's natural. desiring to kill his own son, Prahlad. Now, that's another story now. Why did Hiranyakashipu want to kill his own son? Most of you know it's a simple question, a simple answer. Why? His son, Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu had quite a few sons, but amongst those sons, Prahlad, most of his sons, all of his sons except for Prahlad, were all demons. Or they were all influenced by demons. There's another side to it. But they were basically following the mood of the demons. But Prahlad was different. He was different. He was a devotee of Krishna. He was the first son. And very dear to Hiranyakashipu. But as he grew a little bit, it became obvious that this boy was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. It's on the board probably in front of you. And we see a little bit anyway in Russia, quite a lot, a little bit in the other countries too, in the past and a little bit in the present, that the demoniac persons cannot tolerate devotional service. It's like, the most dangerous, horrible thing that anyone could ever do is to become a devotee of God. In fact, there were times both in America and in Russia where it was a public declaration. This deprogramming movement in America was related to this. But one of the American senators publicly declared that if this Hare Krishna movement is not stopped, it is spreading just like a plague, and it may well take over the government if it spreads like this. It must be stopped. Senator in the American government. You had your in Edinburgh. Ooh, what was he? Was he a member of the what do you call it? He wasn't the mayor, but he was a member of the council. Huh? You remember that, Prabhupada Pran? A member of the council back in Edinburgh in the early days. He was doing everything he could to stop the Harinam on Princes Street. And he declared in the news, he said, I over my dead body, these people will be able to carry on doing what they're doing. It must be stopped at all costs. He said, over my dead body, they will be able to carry on. And amazing enough, within 2 days, he died. He had a heart attack and dropped dead. But that was his mood. Stop the Hare Krishnas at all costs. When they say over my dead body, it's an English term which means, only if I will not stop to try to stop them until I'm dead, So he died pretty quick, and that was the end of that. In Russia, now it's probably similar, it's different now, but I mean, back in the 70s, 80s, probably 80s, it was in the newspaper. It's called the TASS, Moscow, biggest, like you have in New York Times. In Moscow, they have a newspaper called the TASS. And that was like the number one newspaper in Russia. Headlines: the two greatest threats to communism, rock music and Hare Krishna, on the headlines of their newspaper. Can you believe it? We didn't even have a temple in the country. Not one. But they were, seeing it. By God, this is a dangerous thing. These young people in Russia are embracing Hare Krishna. Whether they really knew what was behind it, I do not know. But it's a fact. It's dangerous. If you want to be an atheist and a demon and a materialist, and this movement is very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Be careful. Find out what you're letting yourself in for before it's too late. Huh? So Hiranyakashipu, when his son started to speak and chant the names of God, was absolutely enraged. How is this traitor amongst us? It's like, like a black sheep in the herd. They see devotees like, black sheep in the nice white herd. Herd of sheep? No, I don't know what you call it. Flock, maybe. So he was like a sore thumb, like a thorn, like a thorn in the side. How has this boy become like this? After all good education, he's become number one rascal. Teachers, you have to educate him properly, you nonsense. What have you been teaching him? What have you been doing? Well, it wasn't her. No, it wasn't us, my lord. It wasn't us. We don't know how this has happened. We do not know. Then who has taught him like this? Of course, it was Narada Muni who taught him like that. Eventually, Prahlad told him, who has taught you this nonsense? Where are you getting this nonsense from? God? Devotion? What is this nonsense? To some extent, even our own parents sometimes were like that. Some of us, not all. My parents were mixed. My mother was like that. What is this nonsense? Where did you get this nonsense from? We go on. So he tried everything. Hiranyakashipu tried everything to deprogram his son Prahlad. He'd met some crazy Hare Krishnas on the street of Lancaster who gave him a book and told him, you're in Maya. It's all illusion. You're not this body. You're a spirit soul. Your perfection of life is to worship Krishna. Then they go home. Mom, I met these funny people on the street. They told me Krishna's God, and I'm not this body, and you're not my mom, and you're not my dad, and I have no business anymore in this material world. I want to just give everything up and surrender to Krishna. Very nice, son. Very nice. Oh, that's really nice. What? Police! Phone up the police. Something like that. Get those people out of here. Crazy cult. Stop it. So Hiranyakashipu, then he tried to deprogram. A little bit like the deprogrammers. They would also, believe it or not, I know because my devotees, I know went through it. They tried to torture them. They would tie them up in a dark room, put ice down their back, preach them in various ways, force them to eat meat, all kinds of things. Try to get them to give up their Krishna consciousness. They weren't very successful with the devotees. Not much, one or two. So Hiranyakashipu wasn't very successful with his son either. He tried everything under the sun. At first to try to deprogram him, and then he just tried to, it was too hopeless. Just get rid of him. Just get rid of him. Kill him. We don't want these people around. Just kill him. And he employed his guards to try to kill him. They couldn't kill him, huh? They tried everything they could. Phenomenal. The Lord, the super soul of all living entities, is sober, peaceful, and equal to everyone. Since the great devotee Prahlad was protected by the Lord's potency, protection, Hiranyakashipu was unable to kill him in spite of endeavoring to do so in various ways. He got so frustrated trying to get rid of his son, but he wouldn't die. In this verse, the word Sarva Bhutatma Bhutam is very significant. Here he's coming out of the kitchen again. Where have you been? Just came down from the hills. You look a little bit like you're one of these Babbages living in the Scottish Highlands. You just come down from the Scottish Highlands. Looks a bit like a Scottish Babaji, doesn't he? Nectar. Yes. Ishvara Sarabhutanam Videsha Arjuna Tishtati. The Lord is equally situated in the core of everyone's heart. Thus he cannot be envious of anyone or friendly to anyone. For him, everyone is the same. We're all his part and parcels. Everyone. Sometimes the part and parcel becomes diseased. You have to cut it off. We don't want to. We don't even want our teeth to be pulled out. We get sometimes ladies, particularly if they see one eyelash come out, they get disturbed. When one hair goes grey, you get disturbed. That's where we shave our heads so you can't see it. The Lord is equally situated in the core of everyone. He's not envious of anyone, although he is sometimes seen to punish someone. This is exactly like a father's punishing his child for the child's welfare, chastising the child to correct. Or sometimes, if the finger is too diseased, you may have to have it removed. Otherwise, it will affect the whole body. And the Supreme Lord's punishment is also a manifestation of the Lord's equality. He's trying to help us to wake up, you could say, or relieve us of our karma, make the necessary changes in society to facilitate spiritual progress, etc. Or just, we want to challenge God. Okay, you want to challenge me? Here I am. You want to fight? Here I am. And he's reciprocating accordingly. Although the Lord has to execute his will properly, he is equipoised in all circumstances. He's not disturbed. Just like the moon, it doesn't say, oh, I'm not going to shine there, but that person's a demon. There may be some universal kind of like factors there, but in general, at least we can see on this planet, the moon shines, whether you're pious or impious, the moon shines. So equal to all. How we relate to it is our choice. He is equally disposed towards everyone. So this is the subject matter of this chapter, and which has been discussed, I think, at length already, and can be taken up again by someone else. We don't have time to get in it. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains how devotees are also equal. Not only the Lord, they're also in one sense equal to everyone. They may not behave like that, but that's their mood, because how can you be otherwise when one understands every single living entity is part and parcel of Krishna? So if we're envious of anyone, we're envious of Krishna. If we're angry towards anyone, we're angry towards Krishna. Because everyone and everything is part and parcel of Krishna. We do sometimes get angry towards the part and parcels of Krishna because we're not on that level of how a pure devotee sees. But a pure devotee sees like that. But he relates to others accordingly, reciprocates accordingly, and does the needful. Okay, we're finished there, and someone else can. I think Dayananda Maharaj will give class tomorrow. Is that right, Prabhupada? Dayananda Maharaj is giving class. Is he also leaving? He told me he was leaving Friday last time I spoke to him. But you only heard two things. That's not too bad. Okay, there we go. Such is the confusion of Kali Yuga. It's said that even in the same body, demon and devotee reside in Kali Yuga. Duality in this age is very prominent. There's not much unity, not much clarity. Confusing age. You one thing here and one thing there, another thing. I've got this slide someone put out. You go, even your signboard out here on the corner has signs going in every direction. This way, Yoga Hall, Garanga Hall, this thing, Prashadam Hall, this way in and out. Can get quite confusing if you're not careful. Anyway, this one is called One Way. Every sign said this way. It's like in the world, we are the only way. No, we're the only way. No, we're the only way. We're the only way. They're wrong, Everyone's telling you 100 million different things, Don't know what it's all about. It's confusing age. Very confusing. Very confusing. So we hear one thing from one person and another thing from another, and it's the same subject, and we don't know what to make of it. And we have very little capacity to even find out sometimes. Okay, so any questions? Hare Krishna. Well, if you're killed by Nrsingadev, you're very lucky. Doesn't happen very often, does it? It doesn't seem. It's a good point that they're all playing parts. Well, when you're a teacher, you do play a part too when you're teaching children in terms of, learning subject matters. And teacher also takes the role almost like a student sometimes to show how to grasp the point. So the whole point, of course, is to try to understand not necessarily the individual incident, because you say they're devotees, so Krishna is equal always, obviously, to his devotees, as a father to the son or children. So how does that work? So it's the philosophy behind it, understanding that it's not that God is for or against anyone. Many people have a hard time with this, especially, well, I suppose all times, but especially now this comes up. If God is equal to all, why is some people rich, some people poor, some people undergoing suffering, and why are there wars, and why is there this, and why is there that? And to see the equality of, if there is a God at all, in these various incidences is a little bit challenging for many, if not most people. And the equality, some people can grasp it, some people can't. But this is a whole subject matter. It's not, if you just hear the story, you might just conclude that this isn't good. But when you read the purports behind it, so to speak, then it becomes a little clearer to understand how the Lord is. Ultimately, the Lord's desire is that all living entities return back to Godhead, to become to the platform of reestablishing our relationship as the Supreme. So he acts in such a ways to one, we have a determined desire to try to enjoy or see the Lord's energy separate from him. So he's reciprocating with that, but he reciprocates in such a way. Of course, when we get entangled in this material world, we all know that this karma comes into effect. And karma has its ways, just like in this country. Is the government discriminate against people? Maybe. Maybe they do. Just like we were talking, for instance. Because I have a freedom pass from London, I get free bus rides all over England. And not only that, but I get free trains in London and free metro in London, underground in London, as well as buses. But if you have a freedom card in Manchester, you don't get that same freedom in London. It's discrimination. People in London are a little bit, more privileged, you could say. Maybe they pay more taxes. I don't know what the reason is. But it does appear that they're more privileged. So that's not how the Lord is. You can say, yes, when you become his devotee, the Lord reciprocates like a lion with his cub or something is very kind, whereas with an animal which is, some other animal, it may not seem to be so kind. Well, is the government is the judge discriminating when you come to the court? Why you punish me? You rewarded the last guy. You gave him, some reward. He was inheritance or something. But now you're punishing me. This is not fair. You're not equal. He reciprocates according to us. It's like the sun shines, but if you want to stay indoors with your curtains closed, you don't get much out of it. So it's not that the Lord is giving his equality to everyone. But some people don't want to see it like that. So he reciprocates in different ways. But ultimately his intention or his desire is to somehow or another bring us back home. And his punishment, just like Prabhupada said, the father's punishing a child is not because he doesn't like the child, it's to try to rectify a certain mentality or behavior pattern in the child which is not considered favorable. So some punishment. And the same thing in society in general. You may have stolen something, you get caught, you get taken to court, you get punished 1 year in jail. But you're responsible for that, not the judge or the government or the jail. You stole, you get punished. So the living entities in this material world, and the idea of that being punished is to get free of the karma, one. but they don't know that. But two, to try to be a deterrent, perhaps, for doing it again, or to rectify your consciousness so you don't want to do it again. So mostly the second one is there to try to help us to wake up, and some people do, and realize, this is something wrong here. There's something wrong here in what we're doing. And then they're ready then for, of course, the next stage, you could say, of the Lord's reciprocation. If everything was just perfectly rosy like heaven, then there would be no inclination whatsoever for change. You could, I mean, we want to get into graphic details, but if everything you wanted, without God that is, was at your disposal without much effort, if any, and you weren't going to die, and there was no fear from other people or other things, you wouldn't have much inclination to go for spiritual life. That's why it's said in the heavens it's very hard for people to surrender to Krishna fully. They may believe in him, but they don't surrender. And when there's this apparent suffering, it's turning, and we're seeing this. And those have told me, even in Ukraine, is more ripe now for preaching than ever. It helps people sometimes to wake up and, wow, what is this all about? This is horrible. So it's got another side to it. Demons will see it differently, or ignorant people may not know what's going on. But a lot of people, they actually wake up from this. A little bit of punishment sometimes makes us think. So it is punishment, but it's only punishment to the body. They have no understanding. The soul is an artopashamam shakshad. It is completely superfluous to the soul. It's just we're watching this dreamlike material world, and because we identify with it, therefore we feel the effects of what we identify with and suffer pain and pleasure and various emotional experiences. But this is all superfluous to the soul. The soul is the witness of all of this. So not just, trying to adjust the dream, but knowledge of how to get out of the dream is the secret here. When people realize this is not a nice dream, you may want to get out of it. If it's just a nice dream all the time, you don't want to wake up. I've had that experience. When I'm having a really good dream and I wake up, why did I wake up? That was really good, Didn't want to wake up. It's nice. You're enjoying some illusionary, imaginary pleasure in your dream, and you don't want to wake up. And then you wake up, or something nasty comes in, and you want to get out of there. So, like that in the material world, the Lord is reciprocating, karmically speaking, through his agencies. Karma is unfolding. At the same time, the Lord is giving everyone a chance to wake up. This is equal-mindedness. It's not that necessarily he's going to appear in his personal form to kill us all and deliver us in that way, but in a different way. Lord Chaitanya has appeared when he was about to kill Jagaya Madai, also a form of Jai and Vijay. Lord Nityananda said, my Lord, we've not come to kill people's bodies in this age. We've come to kill their mentality. So particularly in this age, the aspect of the Lord killing people and delivering them in that way, being killed by the Lord, it's understood that one gains liberation, but rather in a different way, to kill the ignorance, the demonic mentality, etc., and deliver people that way. So that is the mood of this particular time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to preach Krishna consciousness, to giving it. Lord Chaitanya himself said, not considering who is fit and who's not fit, who is willing and who's not willing. We should preach Krishna consciousness everywhere. Give Krishna consciousness even to the lowest of living entities, everyone. Something at least. This is the Lord's equality. Even though they don't want it, it's not even equal, it's actually going beyond that. Compassion has no limits. Everyone should get this opportunity. That's how a pure devotee sees it. Everyone should get the opportunity to at least connect with Krishna consciousness to some degree, so that their future will be more fortunate, more auspicious, brighter future. And they're gradually becoming eligible to gain liberation from birth, death, disease, and old age, etc., and go to the spiritual realm. This equality is there. So intertwined with all of these pastimes, or which are in this section of the Lord's equality to all living entities, is the understanding behind it. The understanding behind it. And another aspect is anyone. The Lord accepts anyone's connection. When 1975 in Germany, there was a big endeavor by the German government to stop the Hare Krishna movement in Germany. They arrested all the devotees, confiscated all the money, closed all the wealth, all the whatever they had, books, confiscated all the books, the vehicles, and all the bank accounts were frozen, and the properties were put on hold. Everything was like stopped. Not everything stopped, but the institutional aspect was stopped. And then the big newspaper reports trying to, find fault in the Hare Krishna movement in every single way, truthful or not truthful. The newspapers were full of Hare Krishna, full of it. Well, when Prabhupada saw the newspaper report, which was in German, of course, he didn't understand a word of German. But he said, "This is a very good newspaper report." Every other line was Krishna, 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 Krishna. Overnight, the government of Germany did more to spread Krishna consciousness than we have done in the previous 6 years. Because everyone in Germany was asking, what is this Hare Krishna? I've never heard of it before. Who is this Krishna? What's this Hare Krishna? Who are these people? It seems like negative. But from the point of view of absoluteness, people are actually becoming Krishna conscious, even though negative. And the Lord takes that. It's like if you don't understand a language and somebody says one word in your language, oh, wow, really? You take it on, So when someone says Krishna's name, even with a wrong motivation, they get the benefit from that. So everyone on this planet is getting benefited by simply saying Krishna's name, even in jest, in anger, in animosity, whatever it may be, they are getting benefited. It may take time for that seed to sprout, but they are getting a seed in their heart. It's just a matter of time. There's so many stories of this in our own life history of this happening. What to speak of in the past. So it's all merciful. The Lord is all merciful. Whatever he does is ultimately, we may not see it like that. Like children do not see it when their parents stop them from playing or push them to eat spinach or something. Yeah, they hate it, They condemn their parents sometimes. Get out of it. I hate you. I hate you. I've heard children say, I hate you. I hate you. They don't really know what's going on. They grow up later and appreciate, but on the spot, they can't understand. Sometimes difficult. So the Lord's rectification or reciprocation is sometimes difficult for ignorant. So education has to be there too. Otherwise it won't have, they'll still have effect, but they won't realize, they won't understand, they won't be able to take it on board. They may continue with their atheistic or godless concepts. Okay, we'll finish there. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi. Gaur Srila Prabhupada.